Frank Marshall Davis, like Joel Gilbert says, or is it somebody else? 4 years into the presidency, and the White House is still talking about a birth certificate. It won't show the American people.
That's right. And now with this new document, I mean, is that not a final nail in the coffin? I mean, because this has totally convinced people.
It shows the American public that Obama, like I said in Where's the Birth Certificate, when I wrote it, that Obama has always said he was born in Kenya until he decided to run for president.
No, you wrote that. So here's my final question. Now everybody's ferreting around in his college documents, not the ones they've sealed. Boy, look at that admission of guilt right there.
Right.
But now they're ferreting around in the quasi-public stuff. I predict it's only a matter of time until even more comes out.
Right. Well, look, I want to see the passport records. I want to see the school records. Was he registered as a foreign student? Did he get foreign student aid? Why was he always rooming with all these Pakistanis? You know, did he represent himself as an Indonesian, or was he representing himself?
That's what everybody says. He was a foreign student in the U.S.
Foreign student. This is you know, Obama's told this story his whole life. Foreign student, born in Kenya, raised in Indonesia. This is what he's told over and over again. We've got dozens of witnesses ready to go on tape saying that this is what Obama has told the American people.
So the question is, either he's some deep cover foundation globalist / CIA operative and was born here, but this was his previous cover, still he's got to go, or he really was born in Kenya, and then the evidence, who knows? This is crazy.
One way or the other, Obama is lying. He's lying about who his father was. He's lying about every aspect of his life history, and he will not show the American people the documentary evidence.
But he could start a new big war or false flag and pose as the savior.
The American people get their minds around this. They are going to demand that Obama leave office immediately as an usurper, and they're going to vitiate, erase all of his decisions, his executive orders, Obamacare, because he's illegitimately in office. I've been saying this since 2008. I've written 2 books on it now, The Abomination and Where's the Birth Certificate. My Saul Alinsky book on, you got to see it, on an electronic book, Corsi and Amazon.com.
No, all the proofs there. Dr. Corsi, thanks for coming on so quickly after this came out. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure, Alex. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. Folks, I'm telling you, there's no doubt now. His publicist for 16 years said he was born in Kenya in all these publications. I mean, that's it. He either said he was born in Kenya and lied, or he was. Doesn't matter. We're not kooks for bringing this up. We've been proven right. I'm telling you, the president is completely compromised. Speaking of compromise, their ace in the hole is to stage a terror attack and blame it on us. We have White House advisors saying in Oklahoma City to be blamed on the American people and to demonize those that don't like globalism is the way to go. The film was A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. Your purchase also supports what we do here. It's available at Infowars.com. A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995, Infowars.com, or just go to InfoWarsShop.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We'll get you there. We also have strategic relocation. We have Farmageddon, the attack on the farmers. And we have the best gravity-fed filters out there. ProPure, discounted 10% with the promo code WATER at Infowars.com or InfoWarsShop.com, or call 888-253-3139. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to get into the normalcy, bias, and more. This is important. You know, I've gotten emails here to the office. I've seen comments on the website. They say, why aren't you talking about Obama and the gay marriage thing? Regardless of which side of that debate you're on, they're throwing it out there as a desperate distraction to get the American people fighting with each other. Europe is being imploded by design. Our government is paying to ship our jobs to China, paying to ship them like General Motors, 20+ billion. The country is falling apart. They've got the feds operating checkpoints on highways all over the nation to train us for martial law. They're announcing 30,000 drones run by the Pentagon to watch the American people. The government's using Al-Qaeda to attack Syria and to take over Libya. I mean, we're in trouble. The government's been taken over. And I'm not going to sit here and obsess over stuff like gay marriage. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is, because I know that, sure, it's a way to break down the family. I get all that. The point is, that's already going on. What do you think your kid gets taught at public school? You better find out before you get all the media. It's like Trayvon Martin. Obama, it turned out, had the Justice Department people in the mobs of people calling for race war. They want a race war to divert from what's happening. They want us fighting with each other. It's so simple, and I'm tired of it. Of course the police had the photos and videos of Zimmerman's head bashed in and nose broken, and Martin had broken knuckles. Of course, all that. Of course. They want a diversion right now. They want to get riots going. They want to get everybody fighting over marriage. That's what's happening here. They're desperate. The system wants us fighting with each other instead of looking at the foreign banks that have stolen tens of trillions from this country. Now, I'm going to cover this more tomorrow because I meant to do a whole report on this in detail and just ran out of time. Most talk show hosts are leaning on their callers, not me. I love callers, but I just have so much to cover. If you want to understand why this has happened, you've got to look at 4 things. Normalcy bias. Write these down. This is homework. Stockholm syndrome, learned helplessness, and cognitive dissonance. Now, let me just read the definitions in part of all of these from the encyclopedia. The normalcy bias or normality bias refers to a mental state people enter when facing a disaster. I've seen this when people are choking or there's a house fire. Modern Americans stand around like they're spectators and wait and say, call 911, like parrots, as someone's dying, as someone's bleeding to death, as someone's choking. They're going to be dead when the cops get there. This is not normal. This has been imprinted. This is a bunch of spectators. This often results in situations where people fail to adequately prepare for a disaster on a large scale. The failure of governments to include and induce the populace and include the populace in its disaster preparations because they don't want you to be ready or involved or proactive. The assumption is made in the case of the normalcy bias is that since a disaster never has occurred, then it will never occur. You've never been home invaded, it will never happen. When it happens, you sit there and let them rape your wife and kill her in front of you. It also results in the inability of people to cope with a disaster once it occurs. We are under a normalcy bias, and it's much more detailed than that. But it dovetails with the Stockholm Syndrome. All of these are different descriptions for phenomenon seen in sheeple jellyfish. See, my problem is you want me to give my rights up to a government to keep you safe when that government's run by foreign criminal networks that run Al-Qaeda and stage the attacks to take my rights to make me a slave. Here's the Stockholm Syndrome. In psychology, Stockholm Syndrome is an apparently paradoxical psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors, sometimes to the point of defending them. These feelings are generally considered irrational in light of the danger or risk enduring by the victims who essentially mistake a lack of abuse from their captors as an act of kindness. Well, actually, people go under Stockholm under abuse. They're cowards, and they believe if they make believe the person's their friend, it'll make it better. It's a form of playing possum. Now, here's learned helplessness, and this is the closest definition of what the American people and people of the West have become. Learned helplessness, as a technical term, is an animal psychology and related human psychology, means a condition of a human person or an animal in which it has learned to behave helplessly, even when the opportunity is restored for it to help itself by avoiding an unpleasant or harmful circumstance to which it has been subjected. Learned helplessness in the view that clinical depression and related mental illnesses may result from a perceived absence of control over the outcome of the situation. Yes, it's spectator-based. If you don't believe you have any power, how would you ever think you could do anything? Let me tell you something. You got power. That's why they tell you you don't. I don't want to have an armed conflict with the criminal banks that have hijacked the country. I'd rather take it back peacefully, but I hear this. Oh, forget your 200 million guns Americans have. You'll never defeat an army. You'll never defeat the high tech. Really? Like the little North Vietnamese with their AK-47s who didn't want to be occupied by the French, the Americans, the Chinese, the communists, anybody before they became communist. Ho Chi Minh wanted to be pro-America, but the West didn't want that because he wouldn't sell them all the opium at low prices. The point is, this is all done to make you feel helpless, to make you think you don't have power. And there's nothing better when facing tyrants who are the real cowards to stop being afraid, to live on the edge a little bit. You live on the edge when you drive down the highway with your kids. Why not live on the edge for freedom? And then finally, of all these definitions, one that's very important is cognitive dissonance. The state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes as related to behavioral decisions and attitude change. You know, I could sit here and go, hey, you know, Al-Qaeda was created by the Western intelligence agencies and the hijackers were trained at U.S. bases. Let me show you admitted congressional reports. I don't believe that. It's too crazy. Okay, but you know they're using Al-Qaeda to overthrow Libya and Syria. Yeah, I heard them admit that, but that's okay. Hey, you know the TSA, those machines are giving people cancer. Here's John Hopkins. I don't want to see that. You know reaching down your wife's pants or grabbing your daughter's genitals, that's not keeping you safe. Oh, whatever. You just need to get with the program. They're trying to keep us safe. Well, you know, the TSA has been caught in all these crimes because a lot of pervs want that job. Oh, whatever. You're not going to change it anyways, complainer. Really? Well, our founding fathers were complainers then. You have a lard butt existence because our forebears were like rattlesnakes that didn't put up with anything and would kill you in a New York second if you mess with them. The only reason 4% of the world's population had half the wealth, it's almost been sucked away now, was because our ancestors would get in a fight with you in about 3 seconds, and the biggest empire in the world said, let's just get out of there. They're not going to give up. Even though we lost almost every battle, we kept fighting. Resistance is victory, okay? That's why in Brzezinski's new book, who created Al-Qaeda, the former national security advisor, he says, used to, we could control people with propaganda. It's better just to kill them. And Dick Cheney said, you're right, let's release bioweapons. September 20th, 2000, Rebuilding America's Defenses PNAC. Read it. You think I'm joking? You just heard that, media? Look it up, okay? See, the day they release the superhuman mousepox that kills 98% of people come in contact, your little game is over. We either get control of the globalist national security state or there is no future, okay? You think the president being foreign-born and being a manufactured cutout is bad? That's nothing compared to the reality of the crazy people running this planet, okay? To all the minions and all the servants of the system, I watched police set people up for beer-making equipment in their apartment, and the media went in and looked at the labels. It was beer-making equipment. They're still going to charge them with terrorism. I've seen my listeners on helicopter footage from the police pulled over with jumper cables for an InfoWars sticker, and they say they're bombs and put them in jail. Look, sir, bombs, and it's jumper cables on the news. Cops, when you're living in a place that does that, you're not safe. They put you in peer pressure. If you do bad things, you get elevated. That's how the psychology of tyranny works. None of us have a future if we don't pull back from this, okay? Because I've studied history. I've looked at the globalists. I've looked at what they're into and what they're pushing. I mean, take the normalcy bias of the fact that I read this earlier in the last hour where they've got a London Independent article where the Satanists are getting Chinese murdered babies. The government lets them sell, and the others out of Asia are selling them to rich Westerners that want to eat roasted dead baby. I mean, I've known about this forever. Well, folks, CNN reported 5 years ago that 3,000 plus kids were missing in Florida that the CPS had taken. And when it turned out that they were being sold overseas, the story just ended. Folks, they dug up some of the kids in foreign countries. I mean, they're taking little kids, they're putting them on planes, and they're chopping their heads off after they rape them for a couple weeks. You can read the article, Britain arrested in Thailand after being found with 6 roasted babies. That's London Independent. I mean, again, I mean, reality is beyond anything you can imagine. When you give in to evil, it takes over. God bless you all. We've got incredible videos at Infowars.com in the lower right-hand corner. Check